I want to be very careful with this because real lives are involved.
"14 young men from Ghana embarked on a journey they believed would change their lives forever. Lured by promises of secure, well-paying jobs in Russia, these men left their families behind with hopes of building a better future. But what was meant to be a life-changing opportunity turned out to be their worst nightmare."
Again, an uncompleted building, and then this is one of the buildings they destroyed.
Okay.
Let me show you around. Match will go on man. Check inside. Check will go on man. Check inside.
It all began on Sunday, August 4, 2024, when the men said their goodbyes and boarded a plane filled with dreams of success and providing for their loved ones. They arrived in Russia on August 6 through Togo. Their hearts were filled with anticipation, but from the moment they touched down, things took a chilling turn. Upon arrival, they were whisked off to Kostroma, a city in western Russia, to sign what they thought would be employment contracts. Instead, they found themselves faced with a grim reality. The young men say they were deceived by a contractor who had promised them these opportunities, a man known as Abraham Boakye, popularly known as one-man supporter in Ghana. Abraham, the man they had trusted, now seemed to be their worst enemy.
Abraham Boakye, popularly known as one-man supporter. He brought us here.
Right.
He told us that there is a job opportunity over here in Russia, which is security work and then agriculture.
Okay.
So we paid for our own plane ticket and then visa fee. The military people brought us a contract to sign. And then before, he told us that it's a security work, but we'll be trained by the military.
Right.
So when the military people brought the contract, we thought it's the training that they are coming to train us. The contract, we are coming. The day we were signing, he was not around. He was in Moscow. So we called him and told him that I'm on the contract I'm ready to sign. Should we sign? Because he is the one who brought us here. And he said, oh, we'll sign.
As of September 17, when I spoke with 3 of the remaining survivors, they were trapped in Donetsk, Ukraine, awaiting orders to be sent to the front line of the war.
2 people out of the 14 said, the commander said they are going to front war, so they should prepare. The next day they are going. Up to now, we've not heard from them. You can't go out anywhere, even if you are going to private. The security and the military escort you.
Their situation is beyond dire. Their passports have been seized, and the 14 who left Ghana together have now been reduced to just 3.
Where are the remaining people?
We don't know where they are. Just yesterday, they came to take 2 people out of me.
And you don't know where you're going to next?
We don't know where they are going to. Right now, as I'm talking to you, we are in Donetsk. But then I don't know the exact place we are in Donetsk.
The others have disappeared. The only contact they've had is from David Edu, one of the men who managed to get in touch, urging the remaining 3 to escape at any cost. They live in constant fear, stuck in a makeshift shelter, unsure who will be next to be sent to fight.
Yes, we need a holding behind training behind a bit of Adiano. TSM, Pamacho. Mutia, Mum, Fire. Why, Pamacho? Be a dance with your lady, yet that, and we also the Pauso. It's a
As if the physical and emotional torment weren't enough, they revealed that Abraham Boakye had already taken his cut from each of them, 130,000 rubles from each of the 14 men. They were each paid 400,000 rubles for a war that never agreed to fight. These men are desperate to return home, alive if possible, but their future remains as uncertain as ever.
My family is in Accra, but then I've not told my mom about it because my mom is suffering from stroke and BP. If I should tell her about it right now, you know what is going to happen.
Efforts to reach Abraham Boakye for his side of the story have, however, proved futile, despite repeated attempts to get him to address the serious accusations leveled against him.
I want to pause right here for a moment. Talk to me, dog. What you just heard isn't a headline or a statistic. These are young men who believed they were stepping into an opportunity and instead walked into danger. My God.
14 Ghanaian men went to Russia to take up what they say they believed were jobs in security and agriculture. Now they say they've ended up on the front line of the war on Ukraine because they were duped by a recruitment agency. The case is reminiscent of other cases involving local and African job seekers who fell victim to overseas recruitment scammers. Ghana banned recruitment to the Gulf states in 2021. But why are many young Africans still falling victim to such international recruitment scams?
We have the youngest population in the world, Africa. And so you have all this population looking for jobs.
So what can be done to protect job seekers in Ghana or other African countries where unemployment is so high that an offer abroad can be appealing?
And public awareness campaigns to ensure Ghanaians are better informed about the dangers of these recruitment schemes.
And that's the flip side.
It's important to be clear about something. Not everybody in this situation arrived the same way. Some made informed decisions. Others say they've been misled.
I am Makantorana Richard. I was born 1982. I am a Ugandan. I have 2 daughters and my wife. That's where I studied. Then I went to work in Kampala. I used to work as a cleaner in a supermarket, sometimes as a border cyclist. I live in a house. It's only just 2 rooms. In the supermarket, they pay me, they only give me 50 per month. You can buy a kilo of sugar, you can buy a chicken, you can buy soap, you can buy those things to keep you in the house. Somebody found me on the street and said there are some jobs in Russia, jobs to work in the supermarket, jobs to work in the factory, jobs to work as a security guard at the airport, jobs to be a cleaner, and they are waiting good paying jobs. Then I said, okay, I get it from the bank in a circle. We are only 4. I didn't know that we are going to Brashka. Me, I knew we are going to the supermarket. Reaching there, we saw the gate opening automatically. And they said, you have entered here, but sorry guys, you are joining Russian what? Military. Then we told them that, no, this is not what brought us here. They said there's nothing we can do. You can't cross the gate. The gate is locked. He put us on a gun point and he said, you sign these papers. He said, you have to sign on a gun point. They took us in a lorry, a big truck. We, at night at 1, they drove us, we don't know where we are. And my fellow colleagues, for them, they started saying, okay, let us jump and commit suicide. I told them, no, don't commit suicide. We are innocent, don't commit suicide. And they drove us and they put us in a place which was dark and in the forest. And they were telling us this is the Russian army. We just see on BBC and on the news, but we heard that there are gonna be our peace just like that. But we are not following because even at home, to get sometimes the money to pay for the internet, it's rare. The underground was horrible. It was a bad place because there were bed bugs. And bed bugs were biting us, and in the ground, just to eat biscuits and water. My escape, I escaped at dark. I threw everything down. I ran. Then I reached where they are. Then I said, help me, please. I am innocent, help me. Then they stopped. They said, turn around. But they were using signs. Then I turned around. They said, where are you coming from? I said, I have escaped. This is the Ukrainian army. Feel okay? You are in safe hands now. Don't worry. They gave me water. They gave me some things to drink. They said, don't panic. You are safe. To my fellow Africans, wherever you are, I warn you, and I'm telling you the truth. Don't fall in the trap. They are promising you well-paying jobs in Russia. You are going to land in the army. It's a lie. They are lying. They don't tell the truth. When you reach there, they force you to sign a contract. And when you sign that contract on a gunpoint, imagine on the battle. Imagine to die for nothing. It's better you stay in Africa. It's better you stay with your people. It's better you stay with your children. Don't be deceived. Me, I have escaped by God's grace, but my fellow people are in jail. I don't know where they are. Don't come, stay home. Please, they are liars.
This young man's story brings up serious concerns about deception, coercion, and accountability, especially during wartime. And regardless of politics, no one should be forced into war, especially under false pretense.
The Russians are forcing African students to fight for them in Ukraine, this according to Bloomberg News. This is a crazy story. Listen to this. The Kremlin has forced thousands of migrants and foreign students to fight alongside Russian troops in its war against Ukraine, adding extra manpower for its offensive in the Kharkiv region, according to assessments from European officials. Again, this is from Bloomberg. Using tactics first deployed by the Wagner mercenary group, Russian officials have with increasing frequency been threatening not to extend the visas of African students and young workers unless they agree to join the Russian military and fight in Ukraine. Some Africans in Russia on work visas have been detained and forced to decide between deportation or fighting in Ukraine. Some of the people have been able to bribe Russian officials to stay in the country and avoid military service because Russia is notoriously corrupt. But guys, what kind of a military are you and what kind of a country are you if you've got to force these poor African students to fight in your military because you can't even come up with enough qualified men in your own country? How good is your military?
Kenya's President William Ruto is demanding the release of Kenyans allegedly tricked into joining the Russia-Ukraine war. According to reports, several Africans, including Kenyans, have been stranded or detained in Ukraine after being misled into signing up for what they thought were legitimate job offers, only to find themselves on the war front lines. President Ruto personally reached out to the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, urging him to ensure the safe release of any Kenyans being held and to shut down illegal recruitment networks exploiting African youth. Zelensky responded, promising to investigate the claims and take necessary action. He thanked Kenya for its ongoing support and said both nations will deepen cooperation, not just in diplomacy, but in protecting people from exploitation. Ruto shared on X that he is grateful for Zelensky's quick response, emphasizing that no Kenyan should be tricked or trapped in a war they never signed up for. What do you think African governments should do more to protect their citizens from being exploited in conflicts like this?
What I can say is that this issue has reached an international level of diplomacy, more like a humanitarian issue.
South African men have been sent to fight Putin's war, but none of them signed up for it. They thought they were becoming bodyguards, only to be sent to the front lines. At least 17 South African men are now fighting in Ukraine after allegedly being lured to Russia under false promises. They were told they'd be trained as security workers or enrolled on a personal development course with talk of university places and even Russian citizenship. But they didn't agree to fight. Once in Russia, relatives say the men were pressured to sign contracts contracts written in Russian, documents they didn't understand. Soon after, they were moved across the border into Ukraine. Families say they had little military preparation and were not ready for combat. At the center of it, a woman called Dudazile Zuma Sambula. A vocal supporter of Russia, she's the daughter of Jacob Zuma, a former president who had long pushed South Africa closer to Moscow. Dudazile has been accused in multiple lawsuits of recruiting the men, including 8 of her own relatives, and sending them to Russia earlier this year. She denies allegations. In November, South Africa's government confirmed it received distress calls from the men. One mother says she hasn't heard from her son since August, when he told her he feared he was being sent to the front line. The case has shocked South Africa, a country where more than 40% of under 35s are not in work or education. Ukraine says over 1,400 Africans are fighting for Russia, many allegedly recruited under similar conditions. Today, these men remain stuck, fighting in a war they say they never agreed to, while their families wait, hoping they make it home alive.
This look like more African citizens being coerced or misled, especially during wartime.
BBC has obtained showing a group of South African men believed to be in Russia. The men are seen dressed in military uniform, bearing the Russian flag badge, and the man behind is heard saying they are off to fight Zelensky, in reference to the Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky. It's not clear, however, when the video was taken. 19 South African men, most of them from KwaZulu-Natal, have sent a distress call, pleading for the authorities to bring them home. Some of the group left in July, flying from Durban's King Shaka Airport to Dubai and then connected to Russia. One of the men, who spoke on condition of anonymity, says they were lured to Russia on the promise that they would receive training for VIP protection. They were also promised a stipend of over 40,000 rand a month, he says. When they arrived in Russia, they were told that they had been recruited to assist Russian forces to fight Ukraine. He says none of them had any prior military training. He alleges that 2 of the 19 men may have been killed and the remaining men fear for their lives.
So how long is it going to take us? Last we emergency.
How long will it take? Because our situation is dire here. It must happen in the next 2 to 3 days. These people here are saying they are tired of us, and in the next 4 to 5 days, they are moving us to the front lines in the war. They are saying your people back home don't want to take you back to your country.
Lungisi Mnube's younger brother is amongst the men trapped in Russia. He says his brother had been offered specialized security training and initially told he'd be going to Kenya. He says the recruiters gave him a lump sum of around 80,000 rand and promised close to R1 million upon his return after a year.
They didn't know they were going to war. They believed they were going for training and would come back to be part of MK security forces. Those who recruited them, we don't know what their intention was, but we know they were given money.
Ncube says his family is desperate to bring their son home. He's confirmed that 2 of the individuals named in the criminal case that's been opened by Jacob Zuma's eldest daughter in Sandton were involved in recruiting his brother.
We are in a desperate situation and are appealing to the government for help. We don't know what to do, who to go to. We met as families, but we really need help to bring them home.
Ncube says if nothing is done urgently, he fears the men may never return home. I am Mhlongo.
Did you guys hear about the 2 South African men who were reportedly tricked into joining the Ukrainian military and are now actually stuck in Ukraine? This is according to City Press, who spoke to some of their family members about this whole ordeal. These men connected with a recruiter who promised them work as paramedics in Ukraine. To them, it sounds like an incredible opportunity which they decide they're going to take up. So they move to Ukraine, sign their contracts, they're even going to get training. But then not long after they get to Ukraine, they realize something is awry. They're taken, put in a car, and driven for hours to a Ukrainian military base. They call the recruiter and tell him this is not what we signed up for. They would like to withdraw. The recruiter is of little to no assistance. They decide they're going to flee this military base. Eventually they do. They call a taxi. They flee the military base and take a bus eventually to get to Poland. But this bus never gets to Poland. It's stopped in a roadblock. These men are searched. They realize these men left a military operation, and they're charged and arrested in connection with deserting a military operation. They make contact with the South African embassy because they need assistance. The South African embassy says there's very little they can do to help. This is because they may have violated some kind of legislation which bars people from joining foreign military operations without authorization. Now, when these men were arrested, they were able to make contact with their families and also give them the contact details of this recruiter. The families contact the recruiter, who tells them that these men knew exactly what they were signing up for and that they were not allowed to leave a military site without authorization. Well, police handed the men over to the military and are now safe. But the families say they still haven't heard anything and are also looking for answers.
There's a difference between choosing war and being pushed towards it by poverty. When resources disappear and jobs don't exist, voluntary decisions aren't always free decisions. When people enter conflicts because they can't find work at home, it's structural.
Why Russian citizens, they are young men and they are young women, and the Ukrainian young men and women, why they are going out there to invest, to look for jobs, to hustle for themselves? Our own African brothers, you guys are leaving Africa to go fight, to either help Ukraine or to help Russia to promote war. If it was something they said, oh, maybe there is a famine, there is crisis of food, people are hungry, if African help, it's okay. But going to help for war, it's a no. Do you know how many Russians, do you know how many Ukrainians are in different countries investing, trying to get one or two things? You think they don't know how to fight? You think they don't know how to fight? Please, guys, please. What are we going to gain from it? We have a lot of work home back in Africa. I will go out there, few hundreds of you. You think what are you going to change? What are you going to do? No. I don't know. It's just a question.
Man, listen, when survival becomes a reason that people enter war, that means the real crisis isn't the battlefield.
Even after our story went live today, there are still Africans in the comments saying, how do I sign up to join the Russian army? Because in many parts of the continent where jobs are scarce, people are willing to take this risk to go to Russia and end up in Ukraine in hope that they will survive, Zain.
Yeah, and also the money that the Russians are offering, even though one of the people you interviewed said that that number simply wasn't true. I think it was $13,000. I mean, that is an enticing amount of money, especially if you are struggling financially. Right, Larry Mado, live for us there. Thank you so much. And you can find more information and new details on Larry's extraordinary reporting on CNN.com.
All right, y'all, we made it to the end of this one. Keep God first and the rest to follow. Like, subscribe, comment.